friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry if you can hear the leaf blower outside, but I can't really prevent them from leaf blowing. I just pay rent here. But basically, today's video is going to be a bit of a sit down. It was spurred by some things that have happened to me today, some things that have been happening to me over the last couple of months, and I don't normally film discussion videos. I've kind of learned, or have forced myself to learn over the last year, that I don't need to have my opinion on everything. I don't need to have my hands in every discussion. I don't need to have, you know, like thoughts on everything, or I can have thoughts on them, but I don't necessarily need to express them because sometimes I fuck up how I want to say it. So I haven't been doing a lot of discussions. But today I'm feeling really, I don't know, like I need to express how I'm feeling and I need to sit down and talk about it. So basically, I filmed 3 videos and I hated them. I hated the lighting, I hated how close to the camera I was, I hated basically everything about the video. I didn't like my tone of voice, I didn't like that looking back at the footage, thought I was being myself and it seems really forced, and so I decided to scrap all of those videos, and so you're gonna get this video instead. You might also get a book haul this week, but this is really just what I want to talk about right now. I've been feeling this sense of competition, I think, on YouTube, and as a creator and looking at my other creative friends and how they are doing. And I don't necessarily just mean my YouTube compared to them, or I mean my blogging friends and my really creative friends on Instagram, and feeling this need to do too much. And I kind of want to break that down and just talk to you guys about it, because I feel like you have a lot of good insight. I feel like a lot of my subscribers have good insight, and a lot of you guys are my friends as well, so it does sort of help. First things first, I am going to lower my camera though so I can actually be in frame. I'm not going to edit this video, I'm just going to talk to you guys, but basically what spurred this is a discussion that I was having with Rocco. Rocco is my boyfriend, if you're not familiar. And we were away for my birthday last week, my 30th birthday, which I didn't vlog because I wanted to be in the moment, and that is something that I've kind of been struggling with over the last couple of years. But basically, I was on Twitter, where all bad feelings come from, and somebody had posted about how they were close to this milestone. This milestone's pretty big, and I was baffled because I found myself sad that I wasn't baffled that they were hitting it, I was just baffled at my reaction to it. I found myself feeling really down about it and feeling like my content, or the fact that I'm not doing as well as they are, meant that there was something wrong with me. And albeit I had just started my period, I was super emotional, so a lot of this probably does stem from that. The initial feeling, the opening of the door to this was probably because that was what was going on in my life at the time. But I was really kind of, I don't know, holding it in, and I was talking to my boyfriend about it, and we've kind of had this discussion over the last week or so, and he said that he notices that it has become more, for me, when I talk about it, that it is something that I love to do, and it's something that I enjoy to do, and it's like a stress reliever. But when I speak about it to him, it is that it's a drain, that it's hard to do, that I have to find time for it because my life is so hectic and I'm comparing myself to other people. And he noticed that I'm very competitive about it, and it kind of put things into perspective for me, that I'm looking at YouTube recently as though it is a competition, and I was doing it so subtly to a point where I couldn't really address it myself because I didn't realize necessarily that is what I was doing. And it's really disappointing. I am a competitive person, and I think competition can be healthy, and a lot of people sort of forget that competition does not have to be a negative thing. You can be competitive and it pushes you to strive to do better, but when competition becomes a bad thing is when you start detracting from your worth on how people are doing compared to you. And I think that this is something that we've talked about on Twitter and in the YouTube sphere that we all kind of inhabit, but I don't think we've really put a name to what I think is happening. And I kind of had this epiphany that it is a competition, and it's not necessarily just people sort of feel these emotions and feel like they're not good enough and feel like their content isn't good enough, but they don't really know where it comes from. And that's what it is. It's competition and not necessarily an insecurity. I think that, like I said, it's normal. I'm an incredibly competitive person. I can play a two-player game with my roommate and we're on the same team, but I'm over here trying to do better. And I never look at it in the sense of they're inadequate if I do better than them, or I'm inadequate if, say, they do better than I do, or even if I'm playing like an online game. Some of my favorite games I'm fucking terrible at, and they're online games, and it doesn't make me feel worse about myself. And I started contemplating why, for some reason, like, YouTube makes me feel like I'm inadequate in a way, that I'm not doing good enough. And like I said, it came from seeing somebody doing really well, and hitting the milestones that I'm not hitting. And this has two effects, I think, and multiple ways that you can handle it. The first effect is obviously that it makes you feel like shit. You start to feel down on yourself. You start to feel like you're not producing, say, the content that you want to, or the content that other people are producing, and it makes you feel like, you know, what's the point? And it makes you feel like you're, like I said, inadequate in some way. And that can have lasting effects on many, many things. It can deter, like, you wanting to be more creative. It can make you feel like nothing you do is good enough. And that can apply to and transfer over to many aspects of your life. And I think that's sort of what he was picking up on. He's a very, very intuitive person, and I'm incredibly blessed, because there are a lot of times where he'll ask me if I'm okay, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. And then like an hour later, he'll be like, no, really, what's wrong? And I'll just like fucking word vomit how I've been feeling without really necessarily recognize it's how I'm feeling. So it's nice that I have somebody like that in my corner, but not everyone has that. So to be left with the feelings of I'm inadequate and I'm not doing good enough, or people don't like me because I'm not creating the content that they want to watch, like no one's watching my things, or no one's subscribing to me, or I'm not hitting these milestones that other people are hitting. Like I said, it can affect you in all aspects of your life. The other, I think the quickest thing that happens second to that is also very long lasting, and it is that the content that you start to make starts to suffer. When I started making YouTube videos, I didn't know anybody, and because I didn't know anybody, I didn't fucking care. Like, the content that I was putting out was what I wanted to put out. It was fun. I was like talking about stuff, and like, you know, like my husband at the time was watching them and like critiquing them or whatever. My roommate even now will still be like, hey, like, just so you know, like little things here and there, and I don't get mad about it. But now I think when especially other creators start side-eyeing people on Twitter or Instagram or in like, you know, private messages, we see that shit. Don't do it. It's mean. It makes you afraid to create, and it makes you afraid to step out of your comfort zone. And because you're weighing, like, you're looking at other people's content and you're like, I want to create what they're creating, but you can't create what they're creating because you're not them. And you shouldn't care necessarily, but I think that's like the killer of people on YouTube. And I've seen it happen a couple of times with people that did start with me, and they started seeing other people hitting milestones that they weren't hitting and doing really well. And it deterred them from wanting to continue because they felt like they didn't have value or couldn't compete. And it's not necessarily a competition. Like, it can be a competition with yourself to hit milestones for yourself and to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but it doesn't necessarily need to be weighed against what anybody else is doing. And I think that that is something that we really struggle with here. A couple of ways I think I've been like thinking about over the last week to kind of handle this and to rejuvenate myself a little bit, because I don't necessarily think that all of the things that I'm doing to feel better about this are necessarily things that need to be done long-term and constantly. I've been trying to stay off Twitter. The people who post about milestones and what they want to do when they hit milestones, and, you know, things they want to change about their channel, and I don't know, like, people trying to be really positive about it because I'm feeling so negative about how I'm doing. I've just been muting them, and I've been muting them and making a list and just like going back and unmuting them, I think, later when I'm feeling a bit better. It's only a few people, so it's like a pretty slim list that I'm looking at here. I've kind of muted like certain words and things like that already on YouTube, so I think that this is like was the first thing that popped into my head. Like, I don't need to expose myself to that kind of thing if it's not something that I necessarily want to see right now. Another thing that I think you can do is this is really weird to say, but stop watching content. If you're a creator in your own field, try to limit what you're taking in. So like, if you are a booktuber like we are, or whatever, I think I'm more like a lifestyle YouTuber at this time, but if you are watching the same content that you make constantly, you're going to start looking at the content you create and start comparing the two. And it's not healthy, because like I said, you can't create what other people are creating because you are your own entity. You are your own person. You are completely separate from them. There is no point of comparison. And so for me, I stopped watching primarily booktube videos. I watch a few people here and there, or if a video really piques my interest and it's not necessarily something that I'm looking to create, or if it's like the normal stuff like book hauls, wrap-ups, shit like that, then I'll watch it. But some of the other stuff, like especially like the super creative people that we have on here, or you know who I'm talking about, just like the really, really creative people, or even like the big booktubers. I don't watch any of them because I don't want their content to influence my content in two ways. I don't want me to weigh my content against theirs and see myself as lacking, and then I don't want their content to influence the content that I am making. I want to make what I want to make. I want to make what pops into my head. I want to brainstorm or just be like out doing something and get this great idea and make that. And even if it isn't the most creative, it's what I make. Which brings me to the second part of this video. I've been feeling really bogged down and uncreative. I've been feeling like the content that I'm making isn't what people want to see. I've been feeling like I need to revamp stuff. I've been feeling like I'm not hitting the milestones that I set for myself. I have been really focused on that. If you pay attention to my YouTube channel now, my subscriber count is hidden because I don't want to fucking care. I don't want to view it. If I could take it out of my creator page, I would. I just want to create content and not think about those kinds of things. But because I'm feeling really not creative, it's been really fucking difficult. Which made me think, and it's partially because I'm reading Big Magic, which is like a self-help book. I'll put it here on the screen. But it is talking about creativity and harnessing it, and how sometimes it comes like in waves, and sometimes certain ideas will come to you, and maybe sometimes that idea will leave you and somebody else will pick it up, because content and creativity and ideas is sort of like, it can either be created or destroyed. It's just an energy that floats around. I actually really like the mentality that the author has in this book, but I've been really stagnant and feeling like I just want to quit, and feeling like, you know, people are doing so much better, especially people who started after me, and it's been really discouraging. But it's really easy when you're on the positive side of that and you're doing better than other people and you feel good about it. Like, why can't you still feel good about it even if you're not? Like, why does that need to be the required factor? And I may not feel super creative right now, but I know eventually I will start feeling creative again, and I can hold on to that positivity and keep going. It's just been really difficult recently, and I know a lot of people are feeling it, and I don't know if it's because we're in the winter months, at least, you know, in the United States right now, and I don't know if we're all feeling like the effects of that, but I just know that what I make and what people get out of my videos is not going to be the same reason or effect that somebody else's videos are going to have. So if somebody went on their channel and tried to make what I make, like my sit down videos, I think that's a strength that I have. My sit down videos, my candid conversations that I have with you guys, were just like fucking word vomit about what I'm thinking about. I think a lot of people would struggle to do that because I feel like a lot of people have trouble being themselves on camera, and I don't struggle with that. That's not something that I have an issue with at all. Like, I am 100% who I am when I'm on camera. So I don't know why all of a sudden that is something that I'm focusing on. I don't know why it has become such a thief of joy, if you will, because they say comparison is a thief of joy. I don't know why it's become such a thief of joy of mine recently, and why it has become something that I'm focusing on so much. And I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to focus on what anyone else is doing, and I don't know why I started caring about it, and I don't know if it's because I wanted this to turn into like a career. I don't know if it's because I wanted to make friends and I feel like my friendships right now are really lacking. I don't know if it's because I use this as a stress relief and I'm not getting the same stress relief out of it, and so I'm piling more and more on top of myself, which is just inadvertently stressing me out. It sucks. And like I said, I know a lot of us are feeling like this, and I see people try to redo their content or switch things up, and I'm really excited about that, because I think that moving things around and kind of redoing what you want to do, and, you know, kind of really thinking about what you actually want to create, I think that's a really good way to refresh and like get the creativity flowing again. It's just been really hard, and I just wanted to sit down and be honest with you guys about it, because I couldn't film what I was trying to film. Like, I just couldn't fucking get it out there, but I did still want to have something, and because of that I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna sit down and talk to you, because that is why I started this channel, was to have these conversations and to talk to you and be real and tell you about my life and talk about, you know, fucking day-to-day stuff, or like how I'm emotionally feeling. And I've been feeling a certain type of way emotionally recently. I've been feeling really lost and kind of like I'm just floating along, which is okay. Learn to go with it. But I am somebody who likes to have a certain sense of direction, so it has been really difficult for me. But I know this is 15 minutes or so of shit you might not even care about, but that I wanted to sit down and talk to you and not have like a specific background, or like, you know, try to make everything look pretty with like lighting. The lighting's fucking terrible. We'll just deal with it. But if you guys have any like thoughts on this or anything to add, please let me know. Like, I just want to have a discussion, because I want to know that I'm not the only person who feels like this, even though I know I'm not the only person who feels like this. But yeah, I love you guys. I hope you're doing better than I am currently, and I hope you're feeling creative and you're feeling alive and you're getting things done, and I just want good things for people, but I'm just not feeling them necessarily for myself right now. So content might be a little weird over the coming weeks, we'll see, but either way, I love you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever the fuck and whatever the fuck that might be.